Reason number one, if you're a woman that has experienced sexual assault or trauma, no matter how long ago it was, if you are aiming to have children, you want to work on that. You want to do your best. Release that from your body, because if you do not, it can cause a delay in your pregnancy journey when it comes to conceiving. It can cause you to have losses. And it can cause your birth experience, like your labor and birth experience, to be traumatic. And I know you're probably wondering, how does that even relate? And it's because your body stores memories. Your muscle stores memories. You ever have, let's say, a tight arm for the longest after, let's say, you broke your arm? If you're not actively moving it, massaging it, eating the right foods to help it, catering to it, it's going to be a while before your arm can actually relax and the muscles actually let go, if ever happens, because they're going to be holding on so tight to make sure you don't break that bone again, right? So if you experience sexual trauma and then you get pregnant, your womb space, your uterus may not feel, two different things. Your womb space have to be safe, have to feel safe and know it's safe in order to conceive. So if the last grand event that happened to your womb space was trauma, the next thing something big is happening as far as, let's say, conception, your body may not be able to go through with it and actually conceive and be successful at implantation because it doesn't feel safe. The last time something was going on as far as chemical changes, it was trauma. And so the body's going to be triggered and it's going to do its best to protect itself once again. The body is registering at danger. You're trying to survive. And so the next time your body is having a new surprise moment, it's supposed to be great, it's supposed to be life conception. But the last time I had a surprise moment, it didn't feel good. It was traumatizing. So that's just how that relates. And then later on, if you are not affected when it comes to conceiving after your sexual assault or trauma, then when you have the labor experience, it can cause your body to shut down if your body goes again and be triggered from the experience. And it would be triggered because obviously, to experience the assault is directly with your womb space and directly with your pelvic floor muscles. When you have a baby, it's directly with your pelvic floor muscles. And again, same with what happens on the inside when it comes to conception. When it comes to labor and delivery, when the baby is time to come out, the body does not feel safe enough. Because the last grand attention that your womb space got was the traumatic event. So now your body is like, oh, we're getting all this attention, so let's bring this up so you can hear me now and we can work on releasing this because we're slagging. You do not work through that, like intentionally work through that. That's like knocking on somebody's door after all this time of ignoring them, after maybe you went over there last time, ate their cookies. And then so they've been knocking on your door since forever, right? To get you to come back over. Maybe they just wanted to talk about the cookies just a little bit and then everything would have been cool. But you've been ignoring them because you feel bad about the situation. So now that you finally go over there to knock on the door, they want to talk about the cookies. You might not want to talk about the cookies, but they're going to forcefully talk about them cookies because it should have already been dealt with. Now you can't move forward and have the baby with the birth experience that you hoped for because the trauma is going to come back up. The PTSD is going to come back up. The depression or anything that you experienced after the traumatic event is going to come back up. Your body's going to be triggered and it's going to shut down. And then that's how women end up having a C-section, or they end up needing forceps. If you are not even trying to conceive or not pregnant, it's still important to work through the trauma that you experience because you can lose your identity if you don't. You slowly lose less of you if you are not willing to acknowledge and actually help deliver your body through that, help deliver your mind through that. If you are, again, just suppressing the event, hoping it'll just bypass, hoping you just get over it one day, you can slowly lose yourself. You stop going out, you stop wearing the favorite dress you love to wear, you stop doing your hair, or even for men, stop spraying their favorite cologne, stop going out with the guys, whatever the case may be, because what your body is telling you and what your mind is telling you is that last time you did those things, you got assaulted. So that's another way your body is trying to protect itself. And you slowly become somebody else. And next thing you know, it can be a few years later and you're not doing none of the things you like to do anymore. If you used to be an artist, to be at vendor events all the time, but the stalker came from the vendor event, and now you don't do vendor events no more. Not only that, now you don't even create your art anymore. You lost yourself because you're suppressing something that was definitely devastating. And there'd be different reasons why it's being suppressed. We're not going to have to go through all of that. But it's very important to make sure you don't become somebody else to avoid what happened to you. Whether to avoid that memory or to try to avoid it again. Either way it go, it's your body trying to protect itself. But we have to let our bodies know, we are safe. We are able to move forward. But first, we have to talk about it. Because a lot of times it can be hard to release, even if you are talking about it. A lot of times you can't even talk about it. That's why, you can write about it. You can draw about it. You can paint about it. But if you are trying to conceive, or if you are prepping for labor and delivery, or neither one of those, and maybe you're a man, if you don't want to lose your identity, then it's so important. You don't want to become so cold-hearted either, to where you don't trust other people because you don't trust yourself. You don't trust yourself because you carry the shame and the guilt and feel like your discernment wasn't good enough. And that's what got you in that situation to begin with. So now you don't trust yourself. So now you low-key mad at yourself. Now that might be one of the reasons you don't do the things that you used to like to do. That might not even be related to the incident that happened. But it's because you're punishing yourself for what somebody else did. Those are the two reasons I wanted to discuss why it's important to intentionally overcome sexual assault and trauma. And I'm not saying make this video to say it's going to be easy. Everybody's journey is different. You might see somebody and they might be truly back to who they are 3 months later. You might see somebody else who might be back who they were a year later. It's just very different. So don't ever base your journey on other people's results, is what I'm going to end that with.